TradeSquare is Australia's first business-to-business marketplace connecting people, brands and organisations into this diverse ecosystem in a unique global landscape. Through pivoting, transforming and reshaping, Australian businesses have an opportunity to create the model for the future that aligns with the world's needs and leveraging the power of a collaborative approach. Through the TradeSquare podcast, we will bring together dynamic, diverse and thought-provoking leaders from business, government and organisations to have conversations to further enable new thinking for the future. Welcome to TradeSquare, Australia's leading business-to-business marketplace. I'm Catherine Vandermeer and joining me today is Jack Delosa, founder of The Entourage. How are you, Jack?
Good, Catherine. How are you?
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to the discussion.
We are super excited to have you. So our first leading question, as always, who is Jack Delosa?
I'm an entrepreneur, business owner, investor. I had an upbringing that really kind of reiterated to me that the traditional education and career path doesn't work for everybody. And so from the age of about 6, whether I was sitting in my mother's classrooms as she taught life skills and employability skills to youth at risk, or, when I was a teenager learning all about management and leadership through, digesting CDs and cassette tapes back in those days. I've always just been an avid researcher and study of history, those who make a larger than life legacy in the world, and how do we move the world forward. That sort of evolved into me becoming, a business owner at the age of 17 or 18. And that's been my game ever since. The main business I'm that's most recognized today is called The Entourage. We're Australia's largest business coaching and training institution. And we essentially work with small to medium sized businesses, doing an average revenue of about 3.5 million when they come in. People that are really great at what they do. So they might be accountants or physios or chiropractors or consultants or tech companies, traversing over 100 industries. And they're really good at what they do, but they want help in how do I build a scalable business model around what I do. And so we've got a business coaching and training institution here with, a community of about 500,000 entrepreneurs from around the world. And we're really sort of leading that new wave of effective business coaching that enables people to build structurally sound companies that can grow at a good rate, but also build businesses that aren't operationally reliant on them.
And tell us about your original call to adventure to starting The Entourage.
Well, I started The Entourage 11 years ago. And as I said, I'd been a business owner prior to that. And so I'd kind of built a really good network of other business owners and entrepreneurs. And we all shared the same kind of dissatisfaction, the same kind of frustration, which was there was just nowhere to go to learn about business and entrepreneurship from people who'd been there, done that experience. In many ways, I think going through university or through TAFE to learn about business today, it's kind of corporate business masquerading as entrepreneurship, isn't just a waste of time and money. It's actually worse than that. It's detrimental, and it actually sets people back because they're learning how to become, an effective linchpin in a corporation. And the rules are just so different at that level to if you want to go out and actually start and build your own organization, right? Small businesses are not smaller versions of large businesses. It's a completely different game. And so, at The Entourage, we really believe that it's entrepreneurs that push the world forward. It's entrepreneurs and innovators and their teams that build meaningful things. And, we all know that small to medium-sized businesses represent about 80% of the GDP in this country. So it's such an important, small to medium-sized businesses are such an important bedrock of our economy. Entrepreneurs and innovators and their teams are such important drivers of our culture and everything that we see around us. Yet culturally, and particularly through traditional education, just no one, particularly the government, have ever done anything effectively to enable entrepreneurship well. And so, we've got a couple of million business owners in Australia and hundreds of millions of business owners around the world that are in need of guidance and coaching and training and support and accountability from people who've been there, done that experience, who can help them navigate the real world challenges, daily challenges of running a business. And so, that was really the call to adventure. It was out of frustration and inspiration in that we knew we could make a difference.
And so, over the last 12 months, how have you really seen Australian businesses adding value to the world?
I think since COVID has sort of taken place, the main thing that I've been impressed with through the sort of small to medium sized business landscape all over the world is just how adaptable business owners have proven themselves to be. You know, we all know that necessity is the mother of innovation. And in 2020, every business owner had to innovate. And, you know, for the most case, proved that they could. And so where I see business owners adding the most value to the economy and to the world is by being examples of people who are out there making it happen on a daily basis and who are not letting challenges deter them from their path.
So, how have resilient, dynamic, and resourceful individuals really played a key role in working towards transforming Australian businesses?
Well, businesses are always a reflection of people. Like if you ask yourself what is a business, it's a bunch of people and it's a bunch of people in a box of contracts, and that's all a business is. I mean, a business in and of itself is nothing more than a mental construct. And so, you know, I've got a huge affinity toward any entrepreneurs who are out there building great companies. I think the main, you know, entrepreneurs in the world right now are people like Elon Musk, who's obviously doing incredible work when it comes to space exploration, you know, sustainable energy consumption through Tesla, sustainable energy creation through Solar City, AI kind of risk management through Neuralink. I think he's a really good example of a dynamic and resilient individual that's using business as a vehicle for good and doing it successfully.
And so, what are some of the key steps that enable businesses to create meaningful and authentic leadership?
I think it starts by defining who you are, right, as a company. I mean, one of the things that I thought about 10 years ago was ultimately there are some businesses in the world that hold a different place in our hearts to other businesses. These businesses might be companies like Apple. Some it might be companies like Facebook. For some it might be companies like Mercedes, right? But they're businesses that stand for something and resonate with us on a level that transcends just the products or the services they offer. Virgin is another good example. And I asked myself the question, what is it that differentiates these businesses from everybody else? And the conclusion that I arrived at is it's their DNA. It's who they are. It's not a marketing slogan or a branding strategy that they came up with one day. They're simply businesses that have a distinct and unique DNA and stand for something. I thought, okay, well, how do we reverse engineer DNA? And so I broke that down into vision, mission, and values. Vision being what is the ultimate purpose for why we exist, and the purpose for why we exist not focused on us. So it's not to make $100 million or to build $1 billion company, but what's the consumer orientated purpose for why we exist. You then go to mission, which is, okay, if that's our vision, if that's our ultimate North Star, what do we need to do every day in order to get there, right? And so I'll give you examples of that. At the Entourage, our vision is to move the world forward through entrepreneurship. We believe it's entrepreneurs that push humanity forward, and we're here to enable entrepreneurs to do just that. Our mission, how we plan to get there, is by every day, our mission is to give entrepreneurs everything they need to build great companies and to lead meaningful lives. And so you then go to values, which are what are the principles that govern and guide who we are and who we must be along the way. If we look like our best selves, what are the principles we're upholding in those moments? And so values are a really good way to clarify and define and communicate what would otherwise be unspoken expectations and principles and attitudes and communication styles of this particular organization. And so I think leadership starts with, to come back to your question, leadership starts with we need to have a clear and distinct DNA. That comes by identifying what's your vision, mission, and values, and then recruit according to that, hire and fire according to that, promote according to that, market according to that, sell according to that, build products according to that. Every single thing needs to stem from who are you as a business. And our best attempt at defining that is vision, mission, values.
And so, what's a key message that you are passionate about that you are advocating and championing through your work at the Entourage?
That's a very good question. I mean, we are passionate about so many messages here at the Entourage. I guess the main thing for us is, well, one of the fundamental messages is, it's amazing to me how prevalent the misconception is that when somebody starts a small to medium sized business, that they should be the person in the business delivering the product, right? Um, the world is full of accountants who studied accounting at university for 5 or 7 years, and they've gone out and started an accounting practice, and they're being an accountant 80% of the time. Now, it can be an accountant, it can be a personal trainer, it can be somebody that a tech person that's learned to write code, it can be a consultant, it can be a retailer, because the entrepreneur is often front and center doing what the business does at a product level. And that's a fundamental misconception. It's not the job of the entrepreneur eventually anyway. I mean, it's going to be necessary that the entrepreneur does everything in the beginning, but as the organization grows, it should be the aim of every great entrepreneur to build a business that ultimately operates without them. As an entrepreneur, your product is not your product. As an entrepreneur, your product is the business that you are building. And so it's really important that entrepreneurs distinguish between, am I being a technician, in which case I have a job, or am I being a business owner and entrepreneur, in which case I'm building a company, a structurally sound company that can operate without me. Now, obviously, businesses need to be, coming up the growth curve and delivering good revenues and have the cash flows in order to start building out a team and to build those structures. So in the beginning, you're going to be wearing all the hats, but as the organization grows, you should really be looking to, how do I elevate into the seat of entrepreneur and ultimately build a business that works without me.
And so, extending on from that, what are some of the hot topics at the office at the moment that you are really excited about?
I mean, the hot topic at the moment is, how do entrepreneurs and business owners navigate the world right now, right? With the tectonic shifts that have occurred over the last 18 months. How do we best navigate that? And I mean, the key point here is that in any high change environment, in any high change economy, entrepreneurs and small to medium sized business owners are often going to be at an advantage because we're able to move quicker than everybody else. Generally speaking, we're more resilient. Generally speaking, we're highly resourceful. And generally speaking, we're quick on our feet. And so, the hot topic is, how do you navigate the world right now? How do you take advantage of the opportunities that are occurring? And how do you minimize any downside that might have been present given the changes that we've seen?
And have you come up with any solutions to that yet?
Yeah, well, that's our whole, that's what we do here is we help businesses navigate through that. I mean, it comes down to, like, every business is different, right? Every business is in a different industry, has a different founder, has different psychologies, different strengths, different weaknesses, and so it comes down to it's very contextually dependent, but ultimately, if you are strategizing your growth path with people who've been there, done that experience, there's always a play. And so for a lot of our members, there was a key question around, I've experienced a small decline in sales and a small increase in customer attrition. Should I be launching a new product? And if the decline in your revenue has only been small, then the answer is often no, because in the effort that it would take to launch a new product, what we're better off is exerting that effort on sales and marketing and tweaking the sales and marketing processes of our existing products to prop up our existing products rather than launching new products. And so, it depends what industry the business is in, how they've been affected by what's been going on, and ultimately strategizing a path through that's appropriate for that company.
And so, as an entrepreneur, what are some of the ways that you really actively challenge the status quo in your role?
Well, I think everything we do sort of challenges the status quo, in that we disrupt the way most people do business. Because most business owners, their approach to business is, I should be in the company, delivering the product or service, hands-on with all of my team. And so when somebody comes along and says, you don't need to be technician all the time, this is a game of building an ecosystem and a structurally sound business that can work without you. And ultimately we can move the entrepreneur to a point where they're doing less hands-on tools stuff, but because they've built the team and the structures and the processes, the business is actually growing faster than it was when they had their hands on the tools. That's a pretty radical concept for a lot of business owners because it's so fundamentally different to how they've always thought and how they've always operated.
And so TradeSquare has been focused on choosing to challenge in the past few months. In what ways do you think TradeSquare really chooses to challenge the status quo of business?
I think by connecting wholesalers directly to small to medium-sized retailers and directly to the consumer, right, is what TradeSquare represents is smart wholesale, and it's essentially the model of the future. And so I think that's hugely disruptive. It's hugely beneficial to the wholesalers. It's hugely beneficial to the retailers. It's hugely beneficial to the consumer. And so I think TradeSquare is at a really exciting place, and will be incredibly valuable and somewhat disruptive to the business landscape over the next 5 to 10 years.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge, and particularly aligned to entrepreneurship and all the things that business owners can really take to scale and amplify their business across on the world stage.
Thanks so much.
For more information on TradeSquare, head to www.tradesquare.com.au and support Australian business economic recovery and growth with a collaborative approach to the future of business.